Before we begin, a quick and important disclaimer. This presentation is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not intended as and should not be construed as financial, legal, or insurance advice. I am not a licensed financial advisor or insurance agent. The world of insurance and vehicle service contracts is complex and varies by state and provider. You should always consult with a qualified and licensed professional to discuss your individual circumstances before making any financial decisions. Alright, let's talk about the phone call that every single car owner absolutely dreads. You know the one. Your car's been making a weird noise, or the check engine light finally bullied you into taking it to the shop. You drop it off and then you wait. A few hours later, your phone rings. You see the mechanic's number, and your stomach just drops. You answer and you hear that calm, professional voice on the other end of the line say, "Yeah, so we figured out what the problem is." And in that tiny pause before they give you the price, your entire financial future flashes before your eyes. Is it going to be a few $100s? Or is it going to be one of those numbers that has a comma in it? A number that means canceling a vacation, draining your savings, or putting a massive, terrifying balance on a credit card. For millions of Americans, that call is a financial catastrophe. The average out-of-pocket car repair bill in the United States has now skyrocketed to over $4,000. Let that sink in. Not 400, 4,000. That's a mortgage payment for some people. That's a year's worth of groceries for others. It's a devastating, unexpected blow that most families are simply not prepared to handle. And the problem is only getting worse. Why? 3 big reasons. First, cars today are not like the cars our parents drove. They aren't just engines and wheels anymore. They're supercomputers on a rolling chassis. A modern vehicle has dozens of microprocessors, hundreds of sensors, and miles of wiring. When something breaks, you can't just swap out a cheap part in your driveway. A faulty sensor can disable the entire vehicle, and a simple headlight replacement can require recalibrating advanced driver assistance systems, costing over $1,000. Second, we're keeping our cars longer than ever before. The average age of a car on American roads is now over 12 years old. That means most vehicles are long past their factory warranty period. That 3-year, 36,000-mile bumper-to-bumper warranty that gave you so much peace of mind when you bought the car? It's a distant memory. You are now flying without a safety net. And third, because of all this complexity, the cost of both parts and labor has exploded. Technicians need more training, more specialized diagnostic equipment, and the parts themselves are intricate and expensive. So when that transmission fails or that infotainment screen goes black, you're not just paying for a part, you're paying for a massive amount of technology and expertise. This is the nightmare scenario. You have a car you rely on every single day to get to work, to take your kids to school, to live your life. You're likely still making a monthly payment on it. And suddenly, it's a multi-$1,000 paperweight sitting in your driveway, and you're faced with an impossible choice. Go into debt to fix it, or try to sell it for pennies on the dollar and get into even more debt for a new one. But what if there was a different way? What if you could protect yourself from these catastrophic repair bills? What if you could have the same peace of mind you had with your factory warranty, but for your older, used car? That's what this video is all about. We are going to pull back the curtain on one of the most misunderstood, but potentially valuable products for any U.S. driver: auto repair insurance. This is not the same as your regular car insurance that covers accidents and theft. This is not the same as those scammy, overpriced extended warranties that they try to pressure you into buying in that little back office at the dealership. This is something different. It's a legitimate, regulated financial tool that can act as a shield between you and those bank-breaking repair bills. Over the course of this guide, I'm going to give you everything you need to know. We will break down exactly what auto repair insurance is and, just as importantly, what it is not. We'll explore precisely what components it covers, from the engine and transmission down to the high-tech electronics. We'll expose the common scams and red flags to watch out for so you don't get taken for a ride. I'll show you how to find reputable companies, how to compare plans like a pro, and crucially, how to get the absolute best price without sacrificing coverage. By the end of this, you will be an expert. You will be armed with the knowledge to make a smart, informed decision for yourself and your family, and you'll never have to fear that phone call from the mechanic again. So let's start with the most fundamental question. What exactly is auto repair insurance? The simplest way to think about it is this. It's like health insurance for your car. You pay a regular premium, either monthly or annually. In exchange, if a covered mechanical or electrical part on your car suddenly fails, The insurance company pays the repair shop directly for the cost of the parts and labor to fix it. You are typically just responsible for a small deductible, maybe $100 or $200, just like a copay when you visit a doctor. So instead of being hit with a sudden, unexpected bill for $4,000 for a new transmission, you pay your $200 deductible, and the insurance company covers the remaining $3,800. You can see immediately how this transforms a financial disaster into a manageable inconvenience. Now you might be thinking, wait a minute, that sounds exactly like an extended warranty. And this is, without a doubt, the single most important distinction we need to make right now. The terms auto repair insurance and extended warranty are often used interchangeably, especially by salespeople, but they are fundamentally different products, and knowing that difference can save you a world of headache and money. An extended warranty is, in most cases, not a warranty at all. The term itself is a marketing gimmick. What it actually is a vehicle service contract. A service contract is a promise to perform, or pay for, certain repairs or services. It's a commercial agreement between you and the company that sold it, which is often the dealership or a third-party administrator they work with. Here's the key problem. Vehicle service contracts are largely unregulated in many states. This is the Wild West. It means the company can write whatever terms they want into the fine print. They can have huge lists of exclusions. They can require you to only get repairs done at their chosen dealerships, and if that company goes out of business, poof, your contract is worthless and your money is gone. There's often no safety net. Now let's look at auto repair insurance. This is a true insurance product. That means it is sold by actual insurance companies and, most importantly, it is regulated by your state's Department of Insurance. This is a massive difference. Being regulated means these companies have to play by a strict set of rules. They have to maintain certain financial reserves to ensure they can actually pay claims. They are legally bound by the terms of the policy, and if they act in bad faith, you have a powerful state agency you can complain to that will go to bat for you. Furthermore, because it's an insurance product, it's often backed by the state guarantee fund. This is a crucial layer of protection. It means that even if your insurance provider were to go bankrupt, a very rare event for a regulated insurer, the state fund would step in to cover your claims. With a vehicle service contract, you have no such protection. So why does this distinction matter in the real world? It's everything. With a regulated insurance policy, you typically have the freedom to take your car to any licensed repair facility in the United States. Your trusted local mechanic you've been going to for 10 years? You can go there. The dealership? You can go there too. You're not locked into a specific network. With many service contracts, you're stuck going back to the dealership you bought it from, where labor rates might be higher. The claims process is also different. With repair insurance, the process is streamlined. Your mechanic diagnoses the problem, calls the insurance company's claims number for authorization, and gets paid directly by the insurer. With some service contracts, you might have to pay the full bill out of pocket and then fight with an administrator for weeks or months to get reimbursed. So let's be crystal clear. When we talk about protecting your car, we are focusing on true, regulated auto repair insurance, not the questionable extended warranties pushed by many dealerships. Understanding this single point is the foundation for making a smart decision. You are not buying a simple promise from a car dealer. You are buying a regulated policy from an insurance company, backed by the full weight of state law. That is the peace of mind we are talking about. It's the difference between a real safety net and a marketing slogan. So let's break down what that really means on the ground when you're sitting in that dealership finance office and the sweat is beading on your forehead. You've just spent hours negotiating the price of the car, and now you're being hit with a dizzying array of add-ons. Gap insurance, tire and wheel protection, and the big one, the extended warranty. They'll call it a vehicle protection plan or a service agreement, and they'll present it as the only responsible choice. They'll show you a glossy brochure with pictures of happy families and a list of all the things it covers. Sounds great, but this is the critical moment. This is where you separate the marketing slogan from the safety net, because not all of these plans are created equal. In fact, they exist on a spectrum, and on one end you have products that are barely worth the paper they're printed on. These are often dealer-backed warranties. What does that mean? It means the dealership itself or a small unrated third-party company they've partnered with is on the hook for the repairs. If that dealership goes out of business, your warranty is gone. If that third-party administrator decides they don't want to pay, you're in for a fight. Their contracts are often riddled with vague language and escape clauses. Phrases like wear and tear become a catch-all excuse to deny your claim. They might require you to service your vehicle exclusively at their dealership, locking you into their prices. It's a system designed to benefit the seller, not the buyer. On the other end of the spectrum, you have what we're talking about, true auto repair insurance, often sold as a vehicle service contract or VSC. These are policies underwritten by major, A-rated insurance corporations. Think of the big names you see advertising on TV every day. These companies are in the business of risk management, and they are heavily regulated by state insurance commissioners. Their contracts are legally binding insurance policies. The language is specific. The coverage is defined. They have to play by the rules, or they risk massive fines and losing their license to operate. Let's make this real. Imagine two friends, Mark and Jessica. They both buy similar 3-year-old SUVs from different dealerships on the same weekend. Both cars have just over 40,000 miles, meaning the factory bumper-to-bumper warranty has just expired. Mark is at a dealership that pushes its own in-house gold-level protection plan. The finance manager is smooth. He shows Mark a chart of how much a transmission repair costs, $5,000, and says, "For just $30 more on your monthly payment, you'll never have to worry about a bill like that." Mark, tired from the day, signs on the dotted line. He gets a fancy folder with a one-page certificate. Jessica goes to a different dealer. Her finance manager also offers a plan, but Jessica, being a little more skeptical, asks a crucial question. Who is the administrator, and who is the insurance company backing this policy? The finance manager, a bit surprised, looks it up. It's administered by XYZ Corp and underwritten by a major, A+ rated national insurer. Jessica asks to see the full contract, not just the brochure. She sees the insurer's name and policy information printed right at the top. It costs a little more than Mark's plan, but she signs. She gets a multi-page, detailed policy booklet. Fast forward 8 months. Both Mark and Jessica are driving to work when it happens. The engine starts making a horrible noise, the car shudders, and they both limp to the side of the road. The diagnosis is the same for both: a catastrophic failure of the timing chain. It's a complex, labor-intensive job. The repair estimate for both is nearly $4,000. Mark's journey begins. He calls the number on his certificate. He's not calling the dealership. He's calling gold-level protection plans, a third-party administrator in another state. They tell him he has to have the car towed to one of their approved service centers, which is not his regular mechanic and is across town. The approved shop takes 2 days to even look at the car. When they do, they call the administrator to get approval for the repair. And then the nightmare starts. The administrator says the timing chain is a maintenance item and might not be covered. They argue it could be wear and tear. They demand to see every single oil change receipt Mark has since he bought the car. Thankfully, he has them. But then they say they need to send out their own inspector to verify the damage. That's another 3-day delay. The inspector finally shows up, agrees the part failed, but then the administrator authorizes the repair using a cheap, aftermarket timing chain kit, not the original manufacturer part. They also say they'll only pay for 6 hours of labor, even though the shop's guide says it's a 9-hour job. Mark is left to argue with the shop about the difference. In the end, after 10 days without his car, Mark has to pay the extra labor costs, the difference for the better part, plus his $500 deductible. His protection plan saved him maybe half the cost, but the stress, the delays, and the out-of-pocket expenses leave him feeling completely ripped off. Now let's look at Jessica's experience. She calls the toll-free number on her insurance policy. A professional agent from the actual insurance company answers. She explains the situation. The agent says, "No problem. Do you have a preferred mechanic?" Jessica says yes, her trusted local shop. The agent says, "Great. Have it towed there. And have the service advisor call us with the diagnosis and estimate." Jessica's mechanic diagnoses the same timing chain failure. He calls the insurance company. He explains the issue, provides the part numbers for the genuine manufacturer components, and gives them the labor estimate. The insurance agent on the other end of the line is looking at the same industry standard labor guides. He recognizes it's a covered component. The claim is approved right there on the phone in 15 minutes. The agent gives the shop a corporate credit card number to process the payment. The mechanic orders the parts. 3 days later, Jessica's car is fixed perfectly. She walks in, pays her $100 deductible, and drives away. The insurance policy paid the other $3,900 directly to the shop. No delays, no arguments. No haggling over parts or labor. No surprise bills. This is not an exaggeration. This is the fundamental difference. Mark bought a promise from a company whose primary incentive is to not pay for repairs. Their profits come from the money they don't spend. He had to prove his repair was covered. Jessica, on the other hand, bought an insurance policy from a company that is legally and contractually obligated to pay for covered repairs. The burden was on them to prove it wasn't covered, and since it was a clear mechanical failure listed in her policy, the process was seamless. Her policy worked exactly like her health or home insurance. You have a covered event, you pay your deductible, and the insurance company handles the rest. Mark's plan dictated where he could go. Jessica's plan gave her freedom of choice. Mark's plan created an adversarial relationship between his mechanic and the warranty company. Jessica's plan created a partnership, with the insurance company and the mechanic working together to get her back on the road. So when you're in that finance office, you need to understand that you are not just buying a warranty. You are making a choice between Mark's story and Jessica's story. The key isn't the glossy brochure or the fancy name, platinum, gold, ultimate. The key is the one thing they often don't want to talk about. Who is the actual underwriter? Is it a name you recognize? Is it a legitimate, A-rated insurance company? Or is it a name you've never heard of? A limited liability corporation set up a few years ago? Because that name is the difference between a real safety net and a marketing slogan. It's the difference between peace of mind and a full-blown migraine. So, how do you spot the difference before you sign? How do you cut through the sales pitch and find the truth buried in the paperwork? It's actually easier than you think if you know exactly what to look for. There are a few key sections and specific phrases in any vehicle service contract that tell you everything you need to know. And in the next part, we are going to walk you through that contract line by line and show you precisely how to identify a rock-solid policy and how to spot the red flags that should have you running for the door. Alright, let's open up this Pandora's box. You've got the contract in your hands, or maybe it's a PDF on your screen. It's probably a dozen pages long, filled with tiny print, and words that sound like they were invented by lawyers just to confuse you. This is the moment where most people's eyes glaze over. They skim, they sign, and they hope for the best. That hope is what costs them thousands of dollars. We are not going to do that. We are going to become fluent in contract essay. First, let's find the easy stuff. Look for a page near the front called the Declarations page, or Schedule of Coverages. Think of this as the cheat sheet for your entire policy. It should clearly list your name, your address, your vehicle's information, year, make, model, and VIN, and most importantly, the core details of your plan. It will state the level of coverage you bought, like powertrain, gold, or platinum. It will list the term of the contract, both in years and miles, like 5 years or 60,000 miles. And critically, it will state your deductible. Is it $0? Is it $100? Is it a disappearing deductible that you don't have to pay if you return to the selling dealer? This page is your anchor. If anything on this page is wrong, if they misspelled your name, got the VIN wrong, or listed a different deductible than you agreed to, stop right there. A small error here could void the entire contract later. It has to be perfect. Now for the real meat, find the definitions section. I cannot stress this enough. This section is the secret decoder ring for the entire document. Every word in a contract is chosen with surgical precision, and this is where the company defines those words to their advantage. Let's look at the most important one. Mechanical breakdown. You might think this means, when something in my car breaks. But what if their definition says a mechanical breakdown is the complete and total failure of a part to perform its intended function? The words complete and total failure are the trap. Let's say your transmission starts slipping and shuddering. It's clearly broken. But is it a complete and total failure? A shady company could argue, no, the car still moves, it's just not working well. It hasn't completely failed yet. Claim denied. A good policy will define a breakdown more simply as a failure to work within the manufacturer's specifications. That's the language you want to see. Another key definition is covered part. This seems obvious, but some policies will list, say, the engine as a covered part, but then in the definitions they'll specify that engine only refers to a handful of internal lubricated parts, like pistons and crankshafts, but not the seals, gaskets, or sensors that are actually more likely to fail. You think your engine is covered, but 90% of what can go wrong with it isn't. It's a classic bait and switch, and it's all hidden right there in the definitions. Okay, let's move on to the heart of the policy, the covered components section. This is where you find out what you actually paid for. There are two main types of contracts, and knowing the difference is the single most important thing you will learn today. The first, and far less desirable, is called a named component or inclusionary policy. This policy has a long list of all the individual parts it covers. If a part fails and its specific name is not on that list, you are not covered. Period. The problem is, a modern car has over 30,000 parts. These lists might look impressive, but they are designed to leave out thousands of components. They'll cover the water pump, but not the water pump housing. They'll cover the alternator, but not the voltage regulator. It's a minefield. The second, and the one you should always look for, is an exclusionary policy. This is the gold standard. An exclusionary policy works the opposite way. It starts by saying it covers everything on your car. Every nut, every bolt, every sensor. Then, it gives you a short, specific list of things that are not covered. This list is called the exclusions. This is so much better for you, the consumer. Instead of having to prove your broken part is on a long list of covered items, the burden of proof is on the company to show that the part is on the short list of exclusions. Always aim for an exclusionary contract. It will usually be found in the higher tier plans like Platinum or Diamond, and it is worth every extra penny. Now let's talk about that exclusions list. Even the best exclusionary policies have one. This is where they list the things they will never pay for. You need to read this section with a magnifying glass. Common exclusions include maintenance items like brake pads, spark plugs, and filters. That's normal. But look for the tricky ones. Wear and tear is a big one. Some cheap policies exclude coverage for any part that fails simply due to gradual reduction in performance over time. Well, guess what? That describes how almost every part in a car fails. A good policy will explicitly state that it does cover wear and tear. Look for exclusions related to rust, corrosion, or overheating. A company could deny your claim for a blown head gasket by saying the cause was overheating, and they don't cover damage from overheating. It's a backdoor denial. Also, be very wary of modifications. If you've put a lift kit, bigger tires, or an aftermarket stereo in your car, you need to check this section. Some policies will state that any modification to the vehicle, even a cosmetic one, gives them the right to deny a claim on a completely unrelated part. They'll claim your new wheels put extra stress on the axle bearings, and therefore your transmission failure isn't their problem. It's ridiculous, but it's in the fine print. Finally, we need to look at the section on your obligations or conditions for coverage. This is the rulebook you have to follow. Mess this up and even the best policy won't pay. The number one rule is maintenance. The contract will require you to perform all the manufacturer's recommended maintenance, like oil changes and fluid flushes. And this is the crucial part, you must keep records to prove it. Keep every single receipt from every oil change or service. Store them in a folder or scan them to a cloud drive. If you do your own oil changes, keep the receipts for the oil and filters and log the date and mileage in a notebook. Without proof of maintenance, they can and will deny your claim. This section also details the claims process. It will almost always say you need to get authorization before any repair work is done. You can't just have your mechanic fix the car and send the bill to the warranty company. Your mechanic has to call them, they have to approve the repair, and they have to agree on the price. If your mechanic starts work before getting that authorization code, the company owes you nothing. You'll be stuck paying the entire bill yourself. This section also specifies where you can get your car repaired. Most good policies let you go to any licensed repair facility in the US. But some cheaper ones might restrict you to a very small network of shops, or force you to go back to the dealer where you bought the car, which isn't very helpful if you've moved or you're on a road trip. So now you can read a contract like a pro. You can spot the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know to look for an exclusionary policy, one that covers wear and tear, and one that doesn't have sneaky definitions designed to trip you up. But a great contract from a terrible company is worthless. A piece of paper is only as good as the company that stands behind it. How do you know if the provider is a legitimate, financially stable institution, or just a fly-by-night scam operating out of a strip mall? How do you check their reputation, their financial stability, and their actual real-world track record of paying claims? That's the million-dollar question, and it's exactly what we're exposing in the next part. Alright, let's pull back the curtain. The first thing you need to do is put on your detective hat. Seriously, you are not a customer right now. You are an investigator, and the company you're looking at is your prime suspect. Your mission is to find the truth before a single dollar leaves your bank account. Your first stop, your ground zero, is the Better Business Bureau, the BBB. Now, a lot of people just look for the letter grade. They see an A+ and think, great, they're legit. That is a rookie mistake. An A+ can simply mean the company is really good at responding to complaints, not that they don't have any. You need to dig deeper. Look at the raw number of complaints filed against them in the last 3 years, and more importantly, in the last 12 months. Is that number going up? That's a red flag. But here's the real secret sauce. Read the actual complaints. Don't just skim them. Read them. Are you seeing a pattern? Is every other complaint about a claim being denied for a pre-existing condition on a car that was running perfectly? Are customers screaming that the company refused to pay for a specific part, claiming it wasn't covered, even though the salesperson swore it was? Is the phrase failure to authorize repairs or unresponsive adjuster showing up over and over again? This is gold. This is the company telling you, in the words of their own angry customers, exactly how they're going to treat you when your transmission grenades itself on the interstate. Pay close attention to how the company responds. Are their responses robotic, copy-pasted legal jargon? Or do they genuinely seem to address the issue? A pattern of denied claims is the single biggest warning sign you can find. Next, you graduate from private investigator to government agent. Most reputable extended warranty or auto repair insurance companies are regulated by your state's Department of Insurance. Many of the shadier ones are not. This is a simple, powerful check. Go to your state's Department of Insurance website. Every state has one, and look for a license search tool. Type in the name of the company. If they don't show up, run. It could mean they are operating illegally in your state, which gives you almost zero recourse if they decide to just take your money and disappear. While you're on that state website, look for a section on enforcement actions. This is where the state publishes information about companies they have fined or penalized for shady practices. If your potential warranty provider is on that list for misleading advertising or failing to pay claims, you have your answer. You just saved yourself thousands of dollars and an ocean of stress. Doing this 10-minute check puts you in the top 1% of informed buyers. Most people never even think to do it. Now let's talk about the money. A warranty is just a promise. And a promise from a company that's broke is worth less than the paper it's printed on. You need to know if they have the financial strength to actually pay a $3,000 engine repair bill 2 years from now. This is where you look up their financial stability rating. The gold standard for insurance companies is an agency called AM Best. They've been rating the financial health of insurance companies for over a century. They grade companies on a scale similar to a school report card. You are looking for a company with an A rating. A-A+. This means AM Best has determined they have an excellent or superior ability to meet their ongoing insurance obligations. If the company you're looking at has a B rating or worse, no rating at all, you have to ask yourself why. It often means they lack the capital reserves, the cash on hand, to survive a large number of claims. They might be able to pay for a few alternator replacements this month, but what if 100 engines fail? A company with a weak financial rating is a house of cards, and you don't want to be holding the bill when it all comes crashing down. Don't accept excuses. If a salesperson tells you, "Oh, we're too new to be rated," or "We use a different system," be very, very skeptical. The big stable players all have AM Best ratings. Okay, after you've checked the BBB, the state regulators, and their financial rating, now you can turn to online reviews. But you have to do it the right way. Don't just look at the 5-star reviews on their own website. Those are curated, handpicked, and sometimes completely fake. Instead, go to neutral third-party sites like Google, Trustpilot, or even Yelp. And here's the pro tip. Ignore the 5-star reviews and ignore the 1-star reviews. The 5-star reviews are often low effort, great company, great service, and can be easily faked. The 1-star reviews are often pure emotion, posted by someone in the heat of a frustrating moment. While they can reveal patterns, as we discussed with the BBB, they sometimes lack specific, useful details. The treasure is in the 2, 3, and 4-star reviews. These are written by people who have mixed feelings. They'll give you the most balanced, nuanced, and honest perspective. They'll say things like, "The sign-up process was easy, but when my water pump failed, it took them 3 weeks to approve the claim, and they refused to pay for the diagnostic fee." That single sentence is more valuable than 50 generic 5-star reviews. It tells you about their claims process, their speed, and a specific non-covered expense. And don't forget to check forums. Go to Reddit and search for the company's name. Look in subreddits like r/AskCarsals or r/Mechanic Advice. The conversations there are raw, unfiltered, and not controlled by the company. You'll find real mechanics talking about which warranty companies are a nightmare to deal with and which ones actually pay. This is insider information and it's free. Finally, the single most important piece of evidence in your entire investigation: the contract itself, the actual policy document. Do not, under any circumstances, give a company your credit card number until you have read a sample contract. If they refuse to send you one, hang up the phone. It's the biggest red flag in the entire industry. A reputable company will have a sample contract available on their website or will email it to you without hesitation. Once you have it, you're not going to read all 30 pages of legalese. You're going to be smart. You're going to use the Find command, Control-F on a PC, Command-F on a Mac, and you're going to search for the killer phrases, the weasel words that they use to deny claims. Search for terms like wear and tear. Does the contract cover it? Or is it excluded? Search for overheating. Is damage from overheating covered? Or is it considered neglect? Search for pre-existing. How do they define it? Some will define it as any condition that existed before you signed, even if you had no possible way of knowing about it. Search for maintenance records. Do you need to provide a complete, itemized list of every oil change and tire rotation you've ever had done, from the day the car was new? This is a common trap designed to make it impossible to file a successful claim. By investigating these four areas: the BBB, state regulators, financial ratings, and the contract's fine print, you transform from a potential victim into an empowered expert. You peel back the slick marketing and see the real company underneath. You'll know with near certainty whether their promises are a rock-solid guarantee or just a ticket to a financial nightmare. But even with the best company, the contract is everything. Those weasel words we just talked about? They're just the beginning. The entire structure of these contracts is a minefield of exclusions, waiting periods, and loopholes designed to protect the company, not you. How do you spot them? How do you translate that dense legalese into a simple question? Will this actually fix my car when it breaks? That's what we're breaking down next. So let's pull out the magnifying glass and examine the fine print, the microscopic text where your coverage lives or dies. The first and most important monster hiding in these contracts is a two-word phrase: wear and tear. It sounds innocent, right? Of course, parts wear out. That's why you bought the insurance. But in the world of auto repair policies, wear and tear is the ultimate get-out-of-jail-free card for the insurance company. Imagine this: you're driving your recently purchased used SUV, feeling great about your extended warranty. Suddenly, there's a shudder, a clunk, and you're coasting to the side of the road. The mechanic gives you the bad news: the transmission is shot. A $4,000 repair. But you smile, you've got the policy. You make the call and the adjuster on the other end says, "I'm sorry, but that failure was due to normal wear and tear. It's not covered." Your jaw hits the floor. How can a catastrophic transmission failure be normal? Here's the trick. The policy is designed to cover a sudden and unforeseen mechanical breakdown. They argue that a part slowly degrading over tens of thousands of miles isn't sudden, just aging. They'll say the clutch plates in the transmission gradually wore thin until they finally gave up. In their eyes, that's not a breakdown. It's just a part reaching the end of its natural life. It's like trying to claim your running shoes on insurance because the soles wore out after 500 miles. The problem is, a car isn't a shoe. You can't predict when an internal sealed component is going to fail. These companies use this vague, all-encompassing term to deny claims on everything from transmissions and engines to alternators and water pumps. A good policy will explicitly state what it considers wear and tear, and more importantly, will cover parts even if their failure is caused by the gradual reduction in performance. A bad policy will use wear and tear as a giant escape hatch. The second landmine is the pre-existing condition clause. This is especially dangerous if you buy a policy for a car you already own or a used car. Let's go back to our transmission example. Let's say you fight the wear and tear argument and the company agrees to send an inspector. This inspector isn't your friend. Their job is to find a reason not to pay. They put your car on a lift, and they find a tiny minuscule leak from a transmission seal. A leak so small it's never even left a drop on your driveway. They then declare, "Aha, this vehicle had a pre-existing condition, a leaking seal. This leak caused a loss of fluid over time, which led to the overheating and failure of the transmission. Claim denied." It doesn't matter if you had no idea the leak existed. It doesn't matter if the previous owner didn't know. They will argue that the problem was already there, ticking like a time bomb before your policy began. This is why, for many policies, there's a waiting period, often 30 days and 1,000 miles. They want to make sure an issue you already know about doesn't conveniently pop up on day one. But the pre-existing condition clause extends far beyond that. They can use it years into your contract. The only way to protect yourself is to get a comprehensive inspection from a trusted, independent mechanic before you sign the policy, get a clean bill of health in writing, and submit that to the insurance company. It creates a paper trail and a baseline for the car's condition. Now let's talk about a really sneaky one, the betterment clause. This one doesn't deny your claim outright. It just forces you to open your wallet when you thought you were fully covered. Let's say your car's engine control unit, the ECU, fails. It's a $2,000 part. The claim is approved. Great. But the mechanic calls and says, the original part isn't made anymore. The manufacturer has a new, updated version that's more reliable. Sounds like good news, right? Not for the insurance company. They invoke the betterment clause. They say, we are only obligated to restore your vehicle to the condition it was in before the failure. Your old ECU was a used part with 80,000 miles on it. This new part is brand new and an improvement. That's a betterment to your vehicle. So they'll agree to pay the value of a used ECU with 80,000 miles on it, let's say $1,200. You are responsible for the remaining $800 to get the new superior part. They are essentially making you pay for the depreciation of the old part and the improved quality of the new one. This can happen with engines, transmissions, catalytic converters, any major component where a rebuilt or brand new part is a significant improvement over the old, failed one. You thought you had a $0 deductible, but suddenly you're facing a surprise bill for hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Next up is the dagger in the heart of many engine and transmission claims, the seals and gaskets exclusion. On the surface, it seems reasonable. Seals, gaskets, and O-rings are small, cheap rubber or cork components. A policy might say they don't cover these little items. You think, okay, if a $10 gasket fails, I can handle that. But here's the catastrophic catch. What causes most internal engine or transmission failures? Overheating or lack of lubrication. And what causes that? Often a failed seal or gasket. A head gasket fails, coolant leaks into the engine, and the whole thing seizes up. A $10,000 catastrophe. You file a claim. The company investigates and finds the point of failure was the head gasket. They then point to the fine print. We do not cover seals and gaskets. And because that excluded part was the cause of the failure, the entire resulting $10,000 repair is also not covered. They call this consequential damage. The failure of an uncovered part caused the damage to a covered part, so they pay for nothing. It is an absolutely brutal loophole. A top-tier policy will specifically state that it covers seals and gaskets, and more importantly, it covers the damage that results from their failure. This is a non-negotiable feature you have to look for. Finally, there's the loophole you create yourself, the improper maintenance clause. Every policy, and I mean every single one, has a requirement that you perform the manufacturer's recommended maintenance on your vehicle. And you must keep proof, not just receipts for the oil, but dated service records from a licensed repair facility. Let's say your engine throws a rod at 90,000 miles. It's a clear mechanical breakdown. The insurance company will immediately say, please provide all maintenance records for the life of the vehicle under your ownership. You dig through your glove box. You find most of the oil change receipts. But you were a little late on the 60,000 mile service. The manufacturer recommended it at 60,000, and you did it at 61,500. Or maybe you can't find the receipt for one oil change from 2 years ago. That's all they need. They will declare that your failure to adhere strictly to the maintenance schedule constitutes neglect and voided your contract. They will argue that your tardiness on that one service caused a chain reaction of where that led to the engine failure 30,000 miles later. It is the easiest excuse in the book for them to use. You must be obsessively organized. Keep a folder with every receipt, every work order, for everything you ever have done to your car, from oil changes to tire rotations. Because you can be sure that when you file a major claim, they will be looking for any gap in that record to deny you coverage. These are the 5 horsemen of the policy apocalypse: wear and tear, pre-existing conditions, betterment, seals and gaskets, and improper maintenance. They are the traps that turn a promise of security into a worthless piece of paper. Feels like a minefield designed for you to fail. So the question becomes, are there any good policies out there? Is it even possible to find a contract that doesn't have these giant escape hatches built into it? The answer is yes, but they are rare. The key is knowing the 3 non-negotiable green flags to look for. The signs of a company that actually wants to pay its claims. And those are what we're covering next. The first green flag is so simple, so blindingly obvious, you'll wonder how any company gets away with not offering it. It's this: you get to choose your own mechanic. Period. The policy should state, in no uncertain terms, that you can take your vehicle to any licensed repair facility in the United States or Canada. Why does this matter so much? Because it puts the power back in your hands. Think about it. You have a mechanic you trust, someone who knows your car, who has treated you fairly for years. When your transmission decides to turn itself into a box of neutrals, the last thing you want is to be forced to take your car to approved auto center number 47B. A place you've never heard of in a part of town you've never been to. Companies that restrict you to a preferred network of shops have a built-in conflict of interest. These networks aren't built for your convenience. They're built for the company's bottom line. The shops in that network often have agreements with the insurance provider. They might be incentivized to use cheaper parts, cut corners on labor, or even worse, they might be more inclined to agree with the insurance adjuster that a certain repair isn't really necessary. They have 2 masters: you, the customer, and the insurance company that sends them a steady stream of business. Guess who they're more afraid of upsetting? When you can take your car to your guy, your trusted local mechanic, that dynamic flips. Your mechanic works for you. Their loyalty is to you and the health of your vehicle. They will advocate on your behalf, providing the proper documentation and diagnosis to ensure the claim covers what it's supposed to cover. A policy that gives you this freedom is signaling that they trust the professionals. They're not trying to control the repair process to save a few bucks. It's a massive sign of respect for both you and the independent mechanics who keep our country moving. So green flag number 1, complete freedom to choose any licensed mechanic. If a policy doesn't have it, walk away. The second green flag is arguably even more important, because it addresses the single biggest point of failure for most people when a crisis hits: cash flow. This green flag is direct payment. The warranty company must pay the repair shop directly. You should only be responsible for your deductible, and that's it. You swipe your card for the $50 or $100 deductible, you get your keys, and you drive away. The thousands of dollars for the actual repair? That's a transaction between the warranty company and the repair shop. It never touches your bank account. This is a non-negotiable, a deal breaker. So many plans operate on a reimbursement model. This is the financial equivalent of your house being on fire, and the fire department telling you to go buy your own fire truck and hoses, put out the fire, and then submit the receipts to them and hope they pay you back in 30 to 90 days. It's insane. Let's be brutally honest. The average American doesn't have a spare $4,000 sitting around for a new engine. A surprise bill of that magnitude is a catastrophe. It means draining your savings, maxing out credit cards, or taking out a high-interest loan. It's the kind of financial shockwave that can derail a family's budget for months, even years. A reimbursement-based plan doesn't solve this problem. It just delays the potential solution. You're still on the hook. You still have to come up with the money to get your car back. And then you have the added stress of waiting, hoping your claim is approved, and praying the check arrives before your credit card bill is due. A company that pays the shop directly understands this reality. They understand that their primary function is to absorb the financial shock for you, not just to mail you a check after the fact. It shows their business model is built on providing immediate relief, not just eventual compensation. They are taking the financial burden and the risk onto their own shoulders, which is the entire point of insurance. It's the difference between a company that sells a product and a company that provides a service. Green flag number 2. They pay the shop directly. If you have to front the money, it's not a safety net. It's a financial tightrope, and you're the one without the net. Now for the third green flag. This one is a little more subtle, a little more buried in the fine print, but it is the absolute bedrock of a trustworthy policy. It's a clear, simple, and unambiguous definition of the word breakdown. You would think this would be straightforward, but this is where the sneakiest escape hatches are built. A bad policy will define a breakdown with weasel words, phrases like a complete and total failure of the part. Or they'll say it doesn't cover parts that have suffered a gradual reduction in performance due to normal wear and tear. What does that even mean? Let's use an analogy. Imagine your air conditioner. On a 100-degree day, it's only blowing coolish air, not cold. Your car is an oven. Is the AC compressor broken? It's still spinning, it's still technically functioning, but it's not performing its intended function of cooling the car. A company with a bad definition will say, Sorry, that's just a gradual reduction in performance. It hasn't had a complete and total failure. It's not broken, it's just bad at its job. And just like that, your claim is denied. You're left to sweat it out, literally. A good policy, a policy from a company that actually intends to pay claims, will have a definition that looks something like this. A breakdown is the failure of a covered part to perform the function for which it was designed by the manufacturer. That's it. It's simple. It's elegant. It's powerful. Under that definition, is the AC compressor that no longer cools the car covered? Yes, because its function, as designed by the manufacturer, is to make the air cold, and it has failed to do that. Is a power window motor that can only shakily raise the window halfway up covered? Yes, its function is to raise it all the way up smoothly. Has it failed? Yes. Claim approved. This single sentence is a litmus test for the entire company's philosophy. A convoluted, restrictive definition of breakdown is the ultimate tell. It's a sign that the company's legal team has spent more time figuring out how to deny claims than their customer service team has spent figuring out how to approve them. It's the foundation upon which all their other excuses and denials are built. So, those are the three pillars of a legitimate policy. The holy trinity of auto repair insurance. 1. You choose your mechanic. 2. They pay the shop directly. And 3. A simple, clear definition of a breakdown. A policy that has all three of these is starting from a position of trust. It's designed to be used, not to be escaped from. Treats you like a partner, not a problem. Finding a policy with these three green flags is like finding a solid foundation before you build a house. But even the best foundation can have cracks. And the auto warranty industry is filled with expert salesmen who know how to paper over those cracks with slick promises and high-pressure tactics. Now that you know the signs of a great company, you need to learn to spot the signs of a terrible one. You need to know the specific red flags, the outright scams, and the dirty tricks they use to sell you a policy that's not worth the paper it's printed on. And that's exactly what we're breaking down next. The first and most blatant red flag is urgency. Picture this: you get a call or a letter in the mail that looks suspiciously official. It's plastered with words like final notice, immediate response required, or vehicle coverage lapse. The person on the phone sounds rushed, maybe even a little panicked on your behalf. They'll say things like, "Your factory warranty just expired yesterday, but if you sign up right now, I can get you grandfathered in under the old rate." Or, "This is a one-time offer, and it expires the second you hang up this phone." This is a classic high-pressure sales tactic. It's designed to trigger a sense of panic and a fear of missing out. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to do research. They want you to make an emotional decision based on fear. A reputable company will never do this. They understand that buying a vehicle service contract is a significant financial decision. They'll give you a quote, send you the information, and encourage you to take your time to read it over to compare it with other offers. They are confident in their product. The scammer, on the other hand, knows their product can't stand up to scrutiny, so their only chance is to rush you into a bad decision before you realize what's happening. If you ever feel like you're on a countdown timer, that's not a sales pitch. It's a hostage negotiation. Hang up. The second giant, waving red flag is vagueness. You have to become a detective when you're on the phone with these companies. Ask very specific, direct questions. For example, don't ask, "Is the engine covered?" Of course they'll say yes. Ask, "Are the seals and gaskets of the engine covered?" Ask, "Is the turbocharger, including all of its internal lubricated parts, covered?" Ask, "If my infotainment screen goes black, is the replacement of that entire electronic module covered?" Now, pay close attention to the answer. If you get a clear, direct yes, that specific component is listed under Section C, line 12 of the contract, that's a good sign. But if you get a slippery, evasive answer, the alarm bells should be ringing. They'll say things like, "We cover all the major components," or "Our powertrain plan is very comprehensive," or the ultimate non-answer, "We cover the internally lubricated parts." That last one is a classic trick. It sounds good, but it's designed to exclude almost everything that actually breaks. The water pump? Not internally lubricated. The alternator? Not internally lubricated. The radiator, the sensors, the computers? Knob, and knob. They are using technically true but deliberately misleading language. If they can't or won't give you a straight yes or no on a specific part, it's because the answer is no, and they don't want you to know it. This leads directly to red flag number 3. The price is too good to be true. You've gotten 3 quotes for a comprehensive bumper-to-bumper style plan, and they're all around $60 a month. Then, suddenly, a 4th company comes in and offers you what they claim is the exact same coverage for $25 a month. It's tempting. It feels like you've found a hidden gem, a secret deal. You haven't. You've found a trap. Think about it logically. The cost of auto parts and labor is relatively fixed across the country. An alternator for a Ford F-150 costs what it costs. An hour of a certified mechanic's time costs what it costs. For a company to be profitable and actually pay out claims, they have to charge a price that reflects that reality. If a company's price is drastically lower than everyone else's, the money has to be saved from somewhere. And it's not coming out of their profit margin, it's coming out of your coverage. That $25 plan is cheap because it doesn't cover anything. It's riddled with exclusions, has a ridiculously high deductible, or has so many loopholes that getting a claim approved is practically impossible. Or, in the worst-case scenario, the company is an outright scam. They have no intention of ever paying a claim. They're just collecting premiums until they have enough money to close up shop, disappear, and reopen under a new name. Remember the old saying, you can buy a cheap parachute, but you can only use it once. A cheap auto repair policy is the same. It will fail you the one time you actually need it. Red flag number 4 is deceptive marketing, especially through the mail. We've all seen them. Those letters that look like they're from the DMV or the car manufacturer. They often come in a brown window envelope with a perforated tear-off slip. They might have your vehicle's make and model printed on it, making it seem incredibly official. They use urgent language like we talked about before. Final attempt to notify. This is a lie. Your car's manufacturer, Ford, Toyota, Honda, is not sending you these letters. The DMV is not sending you these letters. These are third-party marketing companies using publicly available information about your car to scare you. They design these mailers to mimic official documents because they know it gets people to open them and react. A legitimate provider will be upfront about who they are. Their logo will be on the letterhead. Their company name will be clear. They won't try to impersonate a government agency or your car's brand. If you get one of these letters, the first thing you should do is look for the fine print at the very bottom. You'll almost always find a sentence that says something like, "Company name is not affiliated with any government agency or automobile manufacturer." That's all you need to know. That letter belongs in the shredder. The 5th and perhaps most critical red flag is a refusal to provide a sample contract up front. This is the ultimate litmus test. After you've spoken to a salesperson and they've given you the whole pitch, your next sentence should always be, "This sounds interesting. Please email me a complete word-for-word sample of the contract I would be signing so I can review it." If their response is anything other than, "Absolutely, what's the best email for you?" you should end the conversation immediately. You will hear every excuse in the book. "Oh, our contracts are generated dynamically upon purchase. I can't send one out until you've put down a deposit. Don't worry, I can go over all the coverages with you right now on the phone." No, no, and no. The contract is the only thing that matters. A salesperson's verbal promises are legally worth nothing. They are not binding. The piece of paper, the actual service contract, is the only thing that legally dictates what is and is not covered. A company that hides its contract is hiding its exclusions. They know that if you read the fine print, you'd never buy their policy. They want you to buy based on the slick sales pitch, not the legal reality. A trustworthy company is proud of their contract. They want you to read it because it proves they offer what they say they offer. Insist on seeing the contract. If they refuse, they've just told you everything you need to know about their business. Finally, we have red flag number 6. A terrible online reputation. In today's world, there is no excuse for not spending 10 minutes researching a company before you give them your credit card number. But you have to know how to research. Don't just look at the star rating on Google. A lot of shady companies will buy fake 5-star reviews to inflate their score. You need to do 2 things. First, go straight to the 1-star reviews. Ignore the rants that don't make sense. Look for patterns. Is every single 1-star review about the company denying claims for overheating? Is every negative review about them refusing to cover a specific part like a fuel injector? Are customers constantly complaining that they can never get a claims adjuster on the phone? This is gold. This is former customers telling you exactly how this company will fail you. Second, go to the Better Business Bureau website, the BBB. Look up the company. Don't just look at their letter grade. Look at the number of complaints filed against them in the last 12 months, and more importantly, whether those complaints are listed as resolved. A company with hundreds of unresolved complaints is a company that takes people's money and then ignores them when there's a problem. It's the clearest possible sign that you should run in the other direction. By learning to spot these red flags, the manufactured urgency, the vague answers, the impossible prices, the deceptive mailers, the hidden contracts, and the terrible reviews, you build a powerful shield. You protect yourself from the predators in this industry. But avoiding the bad isn't enough. You also need to know how to identify the good. What does a great policy actually look like in the fine print? What are the specific clauses and benefits, the green flags, that separate a decent plan from an incredible one that will actually have your back when that check engine light comes on? That's the code we need to crack next. So let's crack that code. When you open up that contract, that wall of text, don't think of it as a legal document designed to confuse you. Think of it as a blueprint for your financial safety. And right now, we're going on a scavenger hunt for the 7 critical green flags, the clauses and benefits that tell you this company is on your side. The first, and arguably the most important green flag, is a single word: exclusionary. You need to look for an exclusionary policy. This sounds counterintuitive, right? Why would I want something that excludes things? Here's why it's a game changer. There are 2 main types of coverage: named component and exclusionary. A named component policy is like a very specific grocery list. It has a list of, say, 200 parts that it covers. If your broken part is number 201 and isn't on that list, you're paying for it yourself. It doesn't matter how critical it is. If it's not on the list, it's not covered. The burden is on you to prove your broken part is on their pre-approved list. An exclusionary policy flips that script entirely. It's the opposite. Instead of a short list of things they do cover, it has a short list of things they don't cover. Things like tires, brake pads, windshield wipers, the routine maintenance stuff you'd expect to pay for anyway. If a part breaks and it is not on that short exclusion list, it's covered. Period. The transmission, the engine, the air conditioning compressor, the high-tech computer modules, all of it. The burden of proof is on them to show that the part is on their tiny list of exclusions. An exclusionary policy is the closest you can get to the original bumper-to-bumper factory warranty. It is the #1 green flag. If you see it, you're starting in a very, very good place. The second green flag is a phrase that terrifies most warranty companies: wear and tear. Most basic plans will only cover a part if it suffers a sudden, catastrophic mechanical breakdown. If a part simply wears out from normal use over time, they'll deny the claim. But let's be honest, how do most parts fail? They wear out. Your alternator doesn't just explode one day. It gradually stops producing enough voltage until your battery dies. Your power steering pump doesn't shatter. It starts to whine and gets weaker and weaker until turning the wheel feels like wrestling a bear. Without wear and tear coverage, a mechanic could diagnose a worn-out part, but the insurance company can say, well, it hasn't technically broken yet, it's just old. Claim denied. A policy with wear and tear coverage understands how cars actually work in the real world. It covers parts that have simply reached the end of their functional service life due to normal use. This is a massive green flag because it closes one of the most common loopholes companies use to deny claims. Now for green flag #3. Consequential damage. This is huge. Imagine this scenario. The water pump in your engine fails. The water pump itself might only be a $150 part. But when that pump fails, it stops circulating coolant. The engine overheats, and because the water pump is often connected to the timing belt, the failing pump shreds the timing belt. Now that broken timing belt causes the pistons to smash into the valves, completely destroying the top half of your engine. You've just gone from a $150 repair to a $4,000 engine rebuild. A cheap policy without consequential damage coverage will say, sure, we'll pay for the $150 water pump that failed. But the thousands of dollars in damage it caused? That's on you. It's infuriating. A quality plan with consequential damage coverage understands that one part failing can cause a domino effect. They cover the initial failed part and the subsequent damage it caused to other covered parts. This clause alone can be the difference between a minor inconvenience and a financial catastrophe. Green flag #4 sounds small, but it's a giant trapdoor in lesser policies. You need to look for coverage for seals and gaskets. Think about it. What keeps all the vital fluids, the oil, the coolant, the transmission fluid, inside your car's most expensive components? Tiny, inexpensive rubber seals and gaskets. Many policies explicitly exclude them, or they'll only cover them if you need to replace them as part of another covered repair. Here's the trap. A $10 head gasket fails. It leaks coolant into your engine, causing it to overheat and warp the cylinder head. That's a multi-thousand-dollar repair. The insurance company swoops in and says, "Sorry, the cause of the failure was the head gasket, and we don't cover gaskets." Claim denied. You're left holding the bag for thousands because a $10 part failed. A top-tier policy will cover the replacement of seals and gaskets, especially when they are the point of failure. It shows they aren't looking for cheap excuses to get out of paying for major repairs. Next up, green flag number 5 isn't a single clause, but a package of benefits that show the company is thinking about you, the driver, not just the car. I'm talking about the perks: rental car reimbursement, trip interruption, and roadside assistance. But you have to look at the details. Don't just see rental car included, and check the box. How much do they cover? If it's only $30 a day, good luck finding a car for that price in today's market. Look for plans that offer $50 a day or more, for at least 5 to 7 days. That's realistic. Trip interruption is a lifesaver. If your car breaks down more than 100 miles from your home, this benefit helps pay for your hotel and meals while it's being repaired. It turns a vacation-ruining disaster into a manageable problem. And roadside assistance, is it just a tow to the nearest shop? Or does it include 24/7 lockout service, fuel delivery, and battery jumpstarts? These perks are a massive green flag that the company understands your car breaking down is more than just a mechanical failure. It's a major disruption to your life. Green flag number 6 is about freedom and trust. It's the choice of repair facility clause. Some plans force you into their approved network of repair shops. These can be shops that have agreed to give the insurance company lower prices on labor and parts, which might not always translate to the best quality for you. A premier plan will let you take your vehicle to any licensed repair facility in the United States. That means you can go to the dealership that specializes in your make and model. You can go to the independent mechanic you've known and trusted for 10 years. Puts you in control. It shows the company trusts you and the professionals you trust. They don't lock you into a corner. They give you the freedom to choose quality. Finally, we have green flag number 7, the one that can actually make you money. Transferability. Most people don't think about this until it's time to sell their car. Imagine you're selling your 6-year-old SUV. You can tell the potential buyer, not only has this car been well maintained, but it also comes with another 2 years of top-tier, exclusionary warranty coverage that's already paid for. How much more valuable is your car now? A transferable policy can significantly increase your vehicle's resale value. It gives the next owner peace of mind, making your car far more attractive than a similar one without coverage. This turns your policy from a simple expense into an asset, an investment in your vehicle's value. So, to recap, we're looking for an exclusionary policy, coverage for wear and tear, protection for consequential damage, inclusion of seals and gaskets, a robust perks package with realistic limits, the freedom to choose your own mechanic, and a transferable contract. These are the hallmarks of a policy built to protect you, not to profit from loopholes. Finding a plan with all 7 of these green flags is like hitting the jackpot. But knowing what a great policy looks like is only half the battle. The other half is knowing what a terrible one looks like. What are the cleverly worded phrases, the hidden clauses, and the outright red flags designed to leave you stranded? Now that we know what to run towards, we have to identify what to run away from. That's where we're going next. Welcome to the minefield. This is the part of the contract that companies hope you'll just skim over. It's where dreams of a covered $1,000 transmission repair go to die. The first and most venomous red flag is deliberately vague language. It's a smokescreen. Look for the term mechanical breakdown. A good contract defines this clearly: the failure of a covered part to perform its intended function. A bad contract, however, will define it as something like a complete and total failure, meaning the part has to practically explode before they'll even consider the claim. Or worse, they won't define it at all, leaving it up to their sole discretion. This ambiguity is most dangerous when it comes to the concept of wear and tear. Remember how we said the best policies cover it? The worst ones use it as their number one get-out-of-jail-free card. They'll say a part failed not because it broke, but because it simply wore out. But here's the thing. What's the difference? Every part in your car is a wear item on a long enough timeline. A piston ring doesn't just decide to quit one day. It fails after millions of cycles. A bad policy will argue that this is just normal wear and deny your claim, even though the failure was sudden and catastrophic. They are selling you a policy that, by its own internal logic, can never actually be used. If a contract either excludes wear and tear entirely or has a very fuzzy subjective definition of it, you need to run. The next red flag is a matter of simple math. Pull up the list of what's covered, and then pull up the list of what's not covered, the exclusions. If that exclusions list is a sprawling, multi-page document that looks longer and more detailed than the coverage list, slam the door. This is the classic bait and switch. They'll list a major component like engine in the covered section. You feel great. But then in the fine print of the exclusions you'll see pistons, rings, valves, bearings, timing chains, oil pump, and all internal lubricated parts are not covered. Well, what's left of the engine? The metal block it's housed in? They've given you coverage with one hand and snatched it all back with the other. Watch for exclusions on seals and gaskets, electronics, sensors, and high-tech modules. These are some of the most common and expensive failure points on modern cars, and shady providers love to carve them out of the policy, leaving you holding a worthless piece of paper when your dashboard lights up like a Christmas tree. Now let's talk about one of the most insidious clauses of all, the pre-existing condition clause. On the surface it sounds fair. They shouldn't have to pay to fix a problem your car already had when you bought the policy. But in the hands of a bad company, this clause becomes a weapon. They can use it to deny almost any claim. Your alternator fails a year into the policy, they'll say, well, the internal components must have already been showing signs of fatigue when you signed up. Pre-existing condition. Denied. They have no proof, of course. But the burden of proof is suddenly on you. You have to somehow prove that the part was in perfect factory-fresh condition 12 months ago, which is impossible. A reputable company will have a clear and fair definition. They might require a vehicle inspection before the policy starts, or they'll state that a condition is only pre-existing if it was reasonably discoverable or had been previously diagnosed. A bad company leaves it wide open, creating a universal excuse they can deploy at will. If the language around pre-existing conditions is broad and gives the company all the power, that's not a policy, it's a trap. The next landmine is the maintenance requirement. Every policy will require you to maintain your vehicle. That's reasonable. What's not reasonable are requirements so strict, so specific, and so unforgiving that they are designed for you to fail. This is the maintenance gotcha. I'm talking about policies that demand you get an oil change on the exact mileage, not a single mile over. You went 3,010 miles instead of 3,000? Sorry, your entire engine coverage is now void. They might demand you only use dealership service centers, even for a simple tire rotation, which is often more expensive and inconvenient. The biggest gotcha is documentation. They will demand perfect, itemized receipts for every single service, from day one of your car's life, even from previous owners. You're missing one receipt for a fluid flush from 3 years before you even bought the car? Claim denied. A good policy has reasonable requirements. Follow the manufacturer's recommended service schedule, and keep your receipts. A predatory policy creates a tightrope walk of impossible demands, just waiting for you to slip. Beyond the contract itself, the claims process can be a giant red flag. You can often spot this in online reviews. Are customers complaining about endless phone trees and 4-hour hold times? Do they mention adjusters who are rude, dismissive, or impossible to reach? These are signs of a company that has built its business model on frustration. They want you to just give up. Be wary of any company that makes the claims process a gauntlet. Do they require you to get 3 separate written estimates from 3 different shops before they'll even look at the claim? That's a delay tactic. Do they insist on sending their own inspector? A process that can take weeks while your car sits uselessly at the shop? Another delay tactic. The absolute worst offender is the reimbursement model. They require you to pay the entire repair bill out of pocket, we're talking thousands of dollars, and then submit your receipts to them for reimbursement. This puts all the risk on you. You're now at their mercy, hoping they'll approve the claim and send a check that might take months to arrive, if it arrives at all. A quality provider pays the repair shop directly over the phone with a corporate credit card. It's clean, simple, and takes the financial burden off of you. Finally, we have to talk about how these policies are sold. The sales pitch itself can be the biggest red flag. If you are getting constant, high-pressure robocalls about your car's expiring warranty, hang up. If you get a letter in the mail that looks like an official notice from the DMV or the manufacturer, printed in scary red ink with phrases like "final notice" or "immediate response required," shred it. These are deceptive marketing tactics designed to create panic and trick you into calling them. Once you're on the phone, the pressure only gets worse. The salesperson will create false urgency. This special pricing is only available on this call. If you hang up, I can't guarantee this offer will be here tomorrow. They'll rush you through the details, gloss over the exclusions, and pressure you to give them a credit card number right now. A reputable company will be patient. They'll encourage you to read the full contract. They will give you a quote that's good for a few days so you can do your research and compare. High-pressure sales tactics are a sure sign that the product itself can't stand on its own merits. They're not selling a quality service, they're selling fear. So let's recap this gauntlet of red flags. We're running from vague language, especially around wear and tear. We're running from policies where the exclusion list is a novel. We are sprinting away from broad, undefined pre-existing condition clauses and impossible maintenance requirements. We're dodging companies with nightmare claims processes and those that use high-pressure, deceptive sales tactics to corner you. You are now equipped with a powerful filter. You can sift through the junk mail, hang up on the robocalls, and instantly recognize the warning signs in a contract. You've learned to spot the predators. You now know what a 5-star policy looks like, and you know what a 1-star trap looks like. You have the knowledge to navigate the market and find a contract that will actually protect you. But there's one final piece of the puzzle. Finding the right policy is half the battle. The other half is knowing exactly what to do when that dreaded day comes. When you hear the clunk, see the smoke, or watch the check engine light flicker on. How do you go from having a policy to having a repaired car? What are the exact steps to file a claim successfully and make sure you get every penny you're entitled to? That is the final critical step. It's time to learn the playbook for victory. The moment of truth. Your car makes a sound it's never made before. A clunk, a grind, a high-pitched whine that sends a shiver down your spine. Your check engine light isn't just on. It's flashing with the urgency of a lighthouse in a storm. This is it. This is the moment you've been paying for. All those monthly premiums, all that research, it all comes down to what you do in the next few hours. The first rule of the playbook is simple, yet it's the one most people get wrong in a panic. Do not authorize any repairs. I'll say it again. Do not, under any circumstances, tell a mechanic to start working on your car. Your first call isn't to a tow truck or your favorite shop. Your first call is to the claims number on your auto repair insurance policy. When you make that call, you're initiating the game. You need to be prepared. Have your policy number ready. Know your vehicle's year, make, model, and current mileage. Describe the symptoms to the agent as clearly as you can. I was driving on the highway, and I heard a loud bang from the engine, lost power, and now the car won't start. They will open a claim for you and give you a claim number. This number is your golden ticket. Guard it with your life. The claims administrator will then guide you. They'll likely tell you to take the car to any ASE-certified repair facility. This is a huge advantage. You're not forced into some cut-rate network shop you've never heard of. You can take it to the dealership. You can take it to the trusted local mechanic you've been going to for 10 years. Once your car is at the shop, the mechanic's job is to perform a diagnosis. They'll hook it up to their computers, they'll put it on the lift, they'll figure out exactly what went wrong. Let's say the news is bad. Catastrophic transmission failure. The estimate to replace it is $5,000. Your stomach drops. But then you remember you have a plan. You have a policy. Here is the most critical handoff in the entire process. The repair shop does not call you for approval. The repair shop calls your insurance provider. They give the claims administrator that golden ticket claim number you wrote down. Then they present their findings. They'll say, "We have a 2019 Ford Explorer. Claim number 12345. The diagnosis is a failed 10 or 80 transmission. We need to replace the unit. Here are the part numbers. Here is the estimated labor time from the official service manual. And here is our shop's labor rate." Now the ball is in the insurance company's court. An adjuster will review the claim. Their job is to verify 3 things. First, is the failed part, the transmission, actually covered under your specific policy? This is where choosing a high-tier, exclusionary policy pays off because the answer is almost always yes. Second, is the cause of the failure a covered event? Did it fail due to a mechanical breakdown? Or did it fail because you haven't changed the transmission fluid in 100,000 miles, which would be neglect? This is why you keep your maintenance records. Third, is the cost of the repair reasonable? They'll check the price of the parts and the standard labor hours for that job. They might approve it on the spot, but sometimes they'll negotiate. The adjuster might call the shop back and say, "We see the quote is $5,000. Our allowance for that repair is $4,500. This is not a denial. This is a negotiation. And a good repair shop is used to this. They will advocate for you. They might say, look, the price of the OEM part has gone up, and we need an extra hour of labor because of corrosion on the bolts. The $4,500 figure is outdated. 9 times out of 10, they will come to an agreement. The insurance company will then give the shop an authorization number. This is the green light. It is official documented proof that they have agreed to pay for the specified repair. Only after the shop receives this authorization number should a single wrench be turned on your car. The shop performs the work. They install the brand new $5,000 transmission. They test drive it. Everything is perfect. You get a call. Your car is ready. You go to the shop, and the service manager shows you the final invoice. Total $5,000. Then they point to a line item that says, insurance payment, $4,900. And a final line that says, customer responsibility, deductible $100. You pay your $100 deductible. That's it. You are handed the keys to your car, which is now running perfectly, with a major life-extending surgery completed. You just avoided a $5,000 financial catastrophe for the price of a tank of gas and a car wash. That is the playbook. That is victory. So let's distill this down into a simple, unforgettable checklist. The 5 crucial steps to a successful claim. 1. Stop and call. The second you suspect a major problem, pull over safely. Your first call is to your provider to open a claim. Get the claim number. 2. Diagnose, don't repair. Get your vehicle to a certified mechanic for a diagnosis only. Let them determine the cause and the cost. 3. Connect and authorize. The shop must communicate directly with the claims administrator. They must present the diagnosis and get an official authorization number from the insurer before starting the work. 4. Document everything. Keep a record of who you spoke to and when. Save the diagnostic report from the shop. Keep the final invoice. And most importantly, keep your maintenance records in your glove box or on your phone to prove you've taken care of your vehicle. 5. Pay your part. Once the work is done and paid for by the insurer, you simply pay your deductible directly to the shop. Following these 5 steps turns a potential nightmare into a simple, manageable process. But what happens when things go wrong? Why do claims get denied? Understanding the pitfalls is just as important as knowing the playbook. The number 1 reason for denial is a pre-existing condition. If you buy a policy on Monday for a car with a bad engine and file a claim on Tuesday, it will be denied. That's why a pre-purchase inspection and the waiting period are so important. They protect both you and the company. The second biggest reason is neglect. If your engine seizes because you never changed the oil, that's not a mechanical breakdown, that's user error. The policy is there to protect you from a faulty water pump, not a faulty memory. Keep your service records. An oil change receipt is one of the most powerful insurance documents you can own. Another common pitfall is unauthorized repairs. If you panic and tell your mechanic, just fix it, I have insurance, you have shot yourself in the foot. The insurance company has the right to inspect the damage and approve the cost before the repair. By fixing it first, you remove their ability to do that, and they will almost certainly deny the claim, leaving you with the entire bill. Finally, there are non-covered components. If you have a basic powertrain warranty and your air conditioning compressor fails, it won't be covered. This all goes back to part 4 of this series. Reading and understanding your contract. Know what you bought. An exclusionary policy is your best defense against this, as it covers everything except a short list of excluded items. And so we've come to the end of our journey. Over these 10 parts, we've demystified a product that is often misunderstood. We started by defining what auto repair insurance, or a mechanical breakdown policy, truly is. A shield against the financial shock of a major car repair. We learned how to spot the difference between a legitimate, insurance-backed plan and a shady limited warranty scam. We walked through the different levels of coverage, from basic powertrain to comprehensive exclusionary, helping you decide which is right for your car and your budget. We uncovered the secrets hidden in the fine print, the deductibles, the waiting periods, the claims limits, so you'd never be caught by surprise. We built a strategy for shopping smart, comparing quotes, and choosing a reputable company. And finally, today we mastered the claims process, giving you a step-by-step playbook to ensure that when the time comes, you use your policy to its fullest potential. The goal was never just to convince you to buy a policy. The goal was to empower you with knowledge, to transform the fear and uncertainty of a car breakdown into the confidence and peace of mind that comes from being prepared. Owning a car is a symbol of freedom, But that freedom is fragile if a single bad day, a single failed part, can wreck your finances for months or even years. This insurance isn't just about protecting your car. It's about protecting your savings. It's about protecting your ability to get to work, to take your kids to school, to live your life without the constant, nagging anxiety of what if. You now have the complete guide. You have all the tools you need to make an informed decision, to protect yourself and your family, and to drive with a newfound sense of security. The road ahead will always have bumps, but now you're ready for them. Drive safe.